Italy is rebuilding, and a man named Ferruccio Lamborghini is getting rich not by building supercars, but by building tractors out of old military surplus. Nobody knew it yet, but this stubborn mechanic from Renazzo was about to declare war on Enzo Ferrari, create the most beautiful machines ever made, and nearly go bankrupt doing it. From the barnyard to the bedroom wall poster, this is the story of the Raging Bull, the evolution of Lamborghini from 1959 all the way to 2026. It is a story of passion, pride, engineering genius, near-death experiences, and a stubbornness that refused to back down. Our story doesn't start with a sleek sports car. It starts with a tractor. Ferruccio Lamborghini was born in 1916 to grape farmers, and from an early age he had a mechanical mind. After serving as a mechanic in the Italian Air Force during World War II, he started building tractors from leftover military hardware. By 1948, he had founded Lamborghini Trattorie, and by 1959, machines like the Lamborghini Dilla 35 were the backbone of Italian farming. Ferruccio was a practical man, a brilliant mechanic, and also a huge fan of luxury cars. He owned a Mercedes, a Jaguar, and several Ferraris, including a 250 GT, but he found the Ferrari clutch was terrible, and the interior felt too much like a race car and not enough like a comfortable Grand Tourer. So he did what any confident mechanic would do. He drove his Ferrari to Maranello to complain to Enzo Ferrari himself. Enzo, being Enzo, allegedly told him to stick to his tractors and not tell him how to build cars. And that was it. The bull was angry, and Ferruccio decided he would build a better car in his own factory. In just 4 months, Ferruccio built a brand new factory in Sant'Agata Bolognese and assembled a dream team of engineers, including the legendary Giotto Bizzarini, who had just been fired from Ferrari, alongside several other top engineers in what became known as the Palace Revolt. Bizzarini was tasked with designing a V12 engine for Ferruccio, and he delivered a masterpiece, a 3.5-liter V12 that would become the heart of the first Lamborghini. In 1963, they unveiled the 350 GTV at the Turin Motor Show. There was just one problem. The engine wasn't ready, and the car wasn't finished. The chassis existed, the body was beautiful, but the engine bay was empty. So, Ferruccio did the unthinkable. He had his men put bricks under the hood to make it look like the engine was there and locked the bonnet so no one could open it and find out. That's not just building a car, that's Italian theater. By 1964, the production version, the Lamborghini 350 GT, was ready with a proper engine. It was refined, powerful, elegant, and immediately put Ferrari on notice. It was a Grand Tourer in the truest sense, comfortable, fast, and beautifully built, but the real revolution was yet to come. In 1966, a group of Ferruccio's young engineers, Gian Paolo Dallara, Paolo Stanzani, and Bob Wallace, worked on a secret project in their spare time. They did something nobody had done before in a production road car. They took that glorious V12 engine and stuffed it sideways behind the driver, creating a mid-engine layout that would change supercar design forever. The result was the Lamborghini Miura, named after a breed of fighting bulls. It wasn't just a car, it was a sculpture, with a body so beautiful it made people cry. It invented the supercar as we know it, with its low stance, dramatic curves, and explosive performance. And Ferruccio? He reportedly hated the name and thought the car was too impractical, too focused on speed and not enough on comfort. He had wanted a Grand Tourer, and his young engineers had built a race car for the road. Luckily, the public didn't care. The Miura became an icon, the poster car of a generation, and it cemented Lamborghini's reputation as a builder of automotive art. Then came the 1970s. If the Miura was a sculpture, the Countach was a weapon. Designed by the genius Marcello Gandini at Bertone, it looked like a spaceship that had landed from the year 3000. It was all sharp angles, wedge shapes, and dramatic flares. It introduced those iconic scissor doors, a design solution because the car was so wide that conventional doors would have been impractical. That design cue, born of necessity, is still used by Lamborghini today. The Countach was outrageous, impractical, and absolutely breathtaking. It defined excess and became the ultimate symbol of the 1970s and 80s supercar dream. But just as Lamborghini reached the peak of cool, the world ran out of gas. The 1973 oil crisis crushed sales of gas-guzzling V12s. People couldn't afford to fuel these monsters, and the demand for exotic cars plummeted. The party was over, and the hangover was brutal. In 1974, a heartbroken Ferruccio sold his shares and retired to go make wine instead of cars. He bought a vineyard in Umbria and spent the rest of his life making a rather excellent Cabernet, leaving behind a company that was financially falling apart. By 1978, Lamborghini went bankrupt. Through the 80s, the brand bounced between owners like a hot potato, surviving on fumes and the still iconic Countach, which continued in production with various updates. They produced the baby V8 Urus and later the Jalpa, trying to capture a more affordable market. But the weirdest and most fascinating car of this era was the LM002, a V12 luxury military vehicle designed for the U.S. Army. When the Army didn't buy it, Lamborghini decided to sell it to civilians. It was so absurdly powerful, heavy, and thirsty that they called it the Rambo-Lambo. It had a V12 from the Countach, massive off-road tires, and a luxury interior. It was the original luxury SUV, long before the Porsche Cayenne or the Lamborghini Urus made the concept cool. It was a bizarre footnote, but it kept the brand alive and showed that Lamborghini was willing to try anything. In 1987, Chrysler bought the company. Finally, there was corporate cash again. The result, after a long development, was the 1990 Diablo. Designed by Marcello Gandini originally, it was then tweaked by Chrysler's own designers, much to Gandini's displeasure. But the result was stunning, the first Lamborghini to break the 200 mph barrier. It was brutish, powerful, and terrifyingly fast. The Diablo became the supercar of the 90s, with pop-up headlights, massive power, and a presence that dominated any road. It was the last of the analog Lamborghinis, a car that could bite you if you didn't respect it. But Chrysler's ownership was short-lived, and by 1994 the company was sold again to Indonesian investors, leading to another period of uncertainty. By 1998, things got serious. Audi, the Germans known for precision engineering and quality, bought Lamborghini. And thank goodness they did. Under Audi's ownership, Lamborghini was transformed. The first child of this marriage was the Murciélago in 2001. It took the Diablo's outrageous proportions and added German reliability, fit and finish, and build quality that actually worked. You could daily drive a Murciélago without worrying it would break down. It was a supercar you could trust. But the real game changer was the baby Gallardo in 2003. This was the car that made Lamborghini profitable for the first time in decades. With a V10 engine and a more accessible price point, the Gallardo sold in huge numbers. For every one Murciélago they sold 10 Gallardos, bringing the bull to a whole new generation of enthusiasts. It was the car that saved Lamborghini financially and set the stage for everything that followed. And just to remind everyone they were still wild and creative, they dropped the Revuelto in 2007, a car literally inspired by an F-22 Raptor fighter jet. It was a Murciélago underneath, but with a body so sharp and futuristic that it sold out instantly at over $1 million each. It was art you could drive, and it proved that Lamborghini's design soul was still very much alive. In 2011, the Aventador arrived, replacing the Murciélago. It was a technological masterpiece with a single-piece carbon fiber monocoque, pushrod suspension, and a screaming V12 that was a work of art itself. It looked like it was moving even when parked, with lines so sharp they could cut you. The Aventador became the definitive supercar of the 2010s, spawning numerous variants and special editions over its 10-year production run. It was the last of the pure, non-hybridized V12s, and it went out with a bang. And then, in 2018, they did the unthinkable again. They launched the Urus, a super SUV. Purists cried, saying it diluted the brand and betrayed the sports car heritage. But buyers went absolutely crazy for it. The Urus single-handedly doubled, then tripled Lamborghini's sales. It became their best-selling model of all time, funding the crazy hybrid future we are about to witness. It brought in the revenue needed to develop hybrid hypercars and secure the brand's future. They teased that future with limited-run hybrids like the Sin in 2019, using supercapacitors instead of heavy batteries for instant power delivery, and even brought back the Countach name in 2021 for a limited-run hyperhybrid based on the Sin, proving that nostalgia and future tech could coexist beautifully. Which brings us to today. 2023 gave us the Revuelto, the Aventador's successor. It is a 1,001 horsepower V12 hybrid, combining a brand new V12 engine with 3 electric motors. It keeps that glorious, naturally aspirated V12 sound that enthusiasts love, while adding instant electric torque and all-wheel drive capability. It proves that electrification doesn't mean emasculation. In fact, it makes the cars faster and more exciting than ever. And now, in 2026, the lineup is finally complete. The new baby Lamborghini is the Lamborghini Temerario, which replaces the beloved V10 Huracan. Under the hood is a twin-turbo V8 hybrid that revs to an insane 10,000 RPM. Let that sink in for a moment. A turbocharged engine that revs to 10,000. That is witchcraft, a feat of engineering that combines turbo torque with naturally aspirated scream. It produces over 900 horsepower and is designed to be a daily drivable weapon. 2026 is a massive year for Lamborghini. Not only do we have the Temerario hitting the streets in coupe and spider form, but Lamborghini is also celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Miura and the 25th anniversary of the Murciélago. You can expect some absolutely wild special editions to celebrate these milestones, likely with unique liveries, carbon fiber work, and even more power. By the end of 2026, Lamborghini's entire range, the Revuelto, the Temerario, and the Urus SE, will be fully hybridized. The pure, naturally aspirated V12 is gone from the standard lineup, but the spirit of performance and drama is more alive than ever before. From building tractors from spare parts to building 1,000 horsepower hybrid hypercars, from near bankruptcy to being the crown jewel of the Volkswagen Group, the Raging Bull has survived wars, oil crises, multiple ownership changes, and changing consumer tastes because it never compromised on drama, passion, and sheer presence. Ferruccio wanted to build the perfect Grand Tourer to embarrass his Ferrari. Looking at the line from the 350 GT to the Revuelto and the Temerario, from the Miura to the Urus, I think he succeeded beyond his wildest dreams. Which era is your favorite? The classic elegance of the Miura, the outrageous wedge of the Countach, the brutal power of the Diablo, or the high-tech hybrid madness of the modern Revuelto? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories from the Us.